All right. Hello and welcome to the first podcast of 2015 for the American Bar Association Law Practice section with the Social Media and Blogging Subcommittee. Wow, that's a huge name. We need an acronym for that. This year, we've decided to do some podcasts with some mainstream marketing type people who understand probably better than every lawyer on the planet how to market themselves better. And since we need to get out of our little bubble of our own people and ideas, we decided to reach out to some of the awesomest people we know to talk about this. So I'm really, really excited to welcome the great Peter Shankman to our first podcast. Thanks, Peter, for being on the show with us today.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Now, I've had the pleasure of I learned of you when I was a first-year law student back in 2008 through Help a Reporter Out, and you have done some phenomenal things since then. Whenever I hear that you're in town or doing something new, I'm like, drop everything, hold my calls, cancel everything, I'm going to Shankman.
That's sweet.
It's true.
I wish more people
absolutely.
thought like you.
Pardon?
I wish more people thought like you.
I know. They should. Well, I'm doing what I can because you are an amazing speaker, writer, marketer, all around just nice guy to be around. So, people should know you. But since you can brag about yourself better than I can, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh, God, who am I? What do I do? I do a lot of stuff. I am a guy who discovered that being nice to people can actually make people a lot of money. And unfortunately, I discovered that early enough. And so what do? I spend a lot of my time speaking and consulting on how to build what I call zombie loyalists, which are audiences or customers who are just totally and beyond ready to do your PR for you, do your advertising for you, tell the world how great you are, all these things. I speak about that. I run a series of masterminds called Shankminds, which are small business masterminds for I go on TV a lot. I'm a talking head. I'm on CNN, Al Jazeera, all over that. I write books. I have a new book coming out January 27th of this year called Zombie Loyalists. And primarily I just try to have fun. I think life's too short to not have fun.
I saw you post something about that online recently about, like, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, and I just love that.
Totally true.
So tell us more about this book, Zombie Loyalists. Tell us more. What inspired you to write it?
Zombie Loyalists, the basic premise is that we expect to be treated like crap, whether it's in a situation with our at a fast food restaurant or an airline or even with lawyers. We expect to be treated like a number. We expect to be treated as a billable hour. If you can treat your customers with just a little bit of empathy, they will actually be amazed, and they will come back to you, and more importantly, bring the entire world to you over and over again. They will do your business, they will do your PR, they will do everything for you. All you have to do is just a little bit better than what people expect.
And your book does contain, I don't want to say case studies, but examples of people doing it right and maybe even doing it wrong?
The book contains tons of examples of doing it right and doing it wrong. Everything from big giant airlines doing it right and wrong, all the way to small little mom and pop stores doing it right and wrong. So it's there are some lawyer examples in there as well. So it really is a nice way to sort of learn about how to surprise and delight your clients, which I don't think is what lawyers tend to usually do.
I don't think lawyers put that as part of their mission statements. No, not even mine. So maybe I should add that.
I would.
Okay, I'll get on that. And you have a book tour coming up too with this book, right?
I do, yeah. Most of February I'll be all around the country promoting Zombie Loyalists. The website is zombieloyalists.com, and it's tons of different gifts you can get if you buy a copy or 2 copies or 3 copies or 50 copies. Buy 1,000 copies, you can rename my child. It's pretty cool.
You could I'll get on that because your child's cute. I could rename her.
My wife hasn't agreed to that yet, so there is a caveat. But other than that,
details. All right, so I want to pick your brain a little bit about what lawyers are doing wrong, what they should be doing in terms of their marketing, especially when it comes to their websites, social media, blogging, all that stuff. So in your dream world where everyone does everything properly, how should people in the legal community be using the internet to market themselves?
He says, you can go online and find out so much information. And most specifically, if you are, let's say you're on Twitter. I'll use Twitter as an example. If you're on Twitter, you should be looking not at what can I post, what can I share, but rather, what's your audience talking about? The start of your day every day should be, what's your audience talking about? And then figure out what they're talking about. What can you add to that conversation? What new and interesting, relevant information can you add to that conversation? Is there an interesting article out there that you can share? Is there something that enables people to enjoy the conversation more, which is what most people don't do. Most people say, oh yeah, I do that, or hire me for that, or whatever it is. And what you're doing is you're actually to go out and show people how to be nice by being nice, by saying, hey, you know what, here's some information for you that you might want, that might help you. You might like this. And all of a sudden people are like, wow, it's really kind of nice of them. Not what's expected.
So even if your community is talking about something that has nothing to do with law, like let's say they're talking about, the Super Bowl coming up, lawyers should be part of that conversation as a community member, is what you're saying.
No question about it. You'd be surprised how many people want real things, basic, common interaction, not billable hours, not things like that.
And so just to kind of bring that full circle, how does talking about things that have nothing to do with the law lead to business?
Well, look, everyone wants to work with people who they trust, who they believe in, who they believe have their best interests at heart. And when you have a relationship with someone, who I would always rather give my money to someone who I have a relationship with than someone I've never met before. And if I am building a relationship with my clients, with my customers, simply, again, just by saying hi, by helping them without billing them, hey, what can I do for you? How can I help? Here, I heard you were talking about this. Let me see if I can give this to you. Those kind of things. You are creating that relationship. And when they need you, they're going to come right to you.
That's so simple, but from what I've seen from people like you and others, it's what really works. People hire people, and so they go with who they know and trust. And it's so simple, but something. But it's something that people don't realize that is something worth putting energy into.
Yep, no question about it. People think about that all the time. They just don't bother doing it, which is really kind of a shame.
It is. And so, as you know, as you've seen, because you're probably in New York, you see this more than even I do, the legal community in general is very conservative, very traditional, very, cut and dry, three-piece suit, in a lot of ways very boring and stale. And what you do is very outside the box. I'm actually reading one of your books right now. Can we do that? Outrageous PR stunts that work and why your company needs them. This is an amazing book, by the way. I'm loving this.
Thank you.
So for people who are in a traditional industry, what should they be doing to step outside their box and be better than just having a website or, a pamphlet?
And look at what your competitors do or what they don't do. The chances of them doing anything exciting are really sort of not that expected. There are the traditional firms. They're worried about, oh, well, what if we say this and it's thought of as legal advice? I'm like, okay, you need to take a step back and relax. How can you be more of a human and less of a lawyer? And again, I'm not dissing on lawyers. I'm dissing, but the industry itself is very buttoned up and very follow these rules. Well, that's fine when you're in court. That's fine when you're litigating, whatever the case may be. But when I'm dealing with you, when you're dealing with your audience, your customers, your clients, you want to be a little more human. What can you do to be a little more human?
Do you have any suggestions for firms or people who say, I can't post anything online until it's approved by the upper management first?
Best bet's probably to find a new place to work. But if that's not a viable option for you, try explaining to the bosses what does work and why that's not a good option. I write about that in both Nice Companies Finish First and Zombie Loyalists, the concept that, if you have to get permission by committee, you're never going to go online. So the concept of going online and talking to your audience, even if it's from a personal account, what can you do to make it a more of a human interaction? Human interactions usually don't need corporate responsibility or corporate approval. Can you just go in and be a normal person?
So do you think that a lawyer should have personal accounts or just post or tweet as the firm? Kind of, people ask that all the time of me. Which do you do? Personally, as a business, both? Especially when people only have a limited amount of time, they think, to devote to social media.
The problem is that there's really only one network that you belong to, one personal brand. It's your personal and professional brand. They're all the same thing. So stop thinking, if I hire a law firm, I want that lawyer to be able to represent his law firm and represent who he is as a person. And that's going to come across in his tweets. I have one Twitter account. It's Peter Shankman. Everything I do in that Twitter account, both professionally and personally, I think about. I say, will this affect my clients? Will this affect my staff? Will this affect my everything? What can I do in this tweet to make it worthwhile and to make it useful to my audience, to make it something my audience will enjoy?
All right. And to add on to that, since you have just one account for both personal and professional, how do you determine what you will and won't put out there?
If I have to think for more than 2 seconds about whether or not it will offend someone, I don't post it. I know there are a lot of jokes out there I'd love to make, but I also know that my audience doesn't have the same level of humor, for good or for bad, that I do. And so you really want to be aware of that. You want to be aware of what your audience likes, what they understand, what they consider offensive, what they don't consider offensive. What can you create that makes them happy? What can you create that won't get people angry, that won't upset them? You find that answer and you go from there.
Have you ever been in a situation where you posted something that you regretted later and had to do some damage control?
Countless times. Fortunately, not as much lately, but yeah, years ago, my God, I've learned a number of lessons. And again, that's the wake-up call. You realize what you can and can't do. And again, 99% of the things that corporations or firms worry about, I can't let people post without authorization. What if they say something stupid? Well, if you hire people who are smart enough not to, then they won't in the first place. And everyone says something stupid at one point in their life, and you learn to forgive them as well. You let them understand it's not their fault. And, one time screw up is okay. 2 times, well, that's a problem. But you can figure out that people are, by default, if they're attorneys, chances are they've already thought about, will this be a bad or good thing to post? So I say let them have a little bit of freedom.
All right. So you've mentioned Twitter so far. Are there any other social media platforms that you are active on that you encourage others to use think of people who are brand new to social media?
The best piece of advice I can give there is to understand where your audience is. Use the platforms where your audience is. If you're spending all your time on Twitter and your audience isn't on Twitter, well, I'd be a waste of time now. Might it be? You want to be exactly where your audience is, and the best way to do that is simply to figure out where they are, and the best way to do that is by asking them, hey, where do you spend your time online? How do you get your information? What do you find interesting? Go from there.
That's, again, so simple, but it's things that people aren't doing.
And again, it sounds like, I was going to say, it sounds like rocket science, but it's really not. If you stop and take a look around, what's the worst that can happen type thing? What can you do to make your firm just a little bit better than everyone else's?
Great. Now, here's something I've seen happen with other companies and other people where they'll start an account on Twitter or Facebook, or they'll start a blog, and then 2 weeks later, they stop using it, and they leave it dormant for months or even years sometimes. What's your recommendation for people who are in that situation? Should they kill those accounts, or what's your take?
You can get back into it. There's nothing wrong with getting back into it, but you just need to understand it is a commitment. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to do this and then never do it again. So you need to, it is a commitment, and understand that it's a commitment that can benefit everyone, but you need to be aware that it's going to take some time, and that's fine. 5 minutes a day is not a lot of time. How many you spend 5 minutes a day browsing Facebook? You spend a lot more than that probably. So 5 minutes a day shouldn't kill you.
Right. So if somebody asked you, how much time should I be dedicating to social media and, for lack of a better term, networking from a business perspective, what would you tell them?
Everything you do should be a networking opportunity. Don't go to networking events simply to network, to throw your business card at people and walk away. Create ways of networking with everything you do, with helping. Every tweet you post should be something beneficial to someone that's a networking opportunity. That you want people to reach out to you, back to you, and say, hey, we just did this. I saw that you tweeted this. That's really interesting. Can I get more information? Whatever the case may be. Anything is a networking opportunity if you look at it the right way.
Right. So do you have any advice for lawyers who maybe work at a firm where they have a high billable hour requirement, where the partners may look at social networking as screwing around and not providing value, especially when you have to play the long game in social, not the short game?
A restaurant sent me a tweet a couple of years ago. I sent a tweet and then the restaurant tweeted me back, and the tweet that they sent me back resulted in about double digits, tens of millions of dollars of growth from them from one tweet. I can give you countless examples of that. I'm not saying social media is going to save the world, but if you're not involved in it and you don't understand its potential, or if your boss is or your upper manager doesn't understand its potential, you might want to consider going somewhere where they do, because there's definitely a benefit to it.
Okay. You and I are on the same team. We completely agree on this. I feel like we're saying the same thing over and over again, but we're not here for each other. We're here to help other people. So I don't know if you've ever encountered this because of who you are and the people you run with, but there are apparently law firms out there who don't even have a website.
Yeah,
what is your take on that?
A little scary in that regard. Look, if you don't believe that your audience needs them, well, chances are you're wrong. But your best idea is, again, find out what your audience was. I worked with a nonprofit once in the animal rescue space that didn't believe that their audience was online, and they created I had them do a poll where we polled all their current and past donors and found out that 94% of their audience was online. And as soon as they created a web page and a Twitter account and things like that, donations shot up about 30% in a year. Imagine increasing billable hours by 30%. Bosses would probably buy you something nice.
Yeah, I would hope that a firm would see the value in that, but apparently there are those who haven't gotten on board with that plan yet. Now, when it comes to websites, anybody can register a domain, but there are a lot of bad lawyer and law firm websites out there. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see firms making on their sites?
I think it's focusing so much on the legality of it, not showing that they're human beings. Sites that don't have an About Us page where it shows the lawyers not being all lawyery, they tend not to do that a lot, and I don't want to necessarily be represented by someone who has no outside interests. I want him to be a human being as well, because if he has no outside interest and all he does is work, then all he's going to try to do is bill me. My lawyer, I've had my same lawyer for like 15 years now, and in his spare time, he runs a drum circle at Burning Man. The guy's like 70 years old. What the hell? But, so I know that when he's in court for me or he's litigating for me, he's the sharpest, or, negotiating for me, he's the sharpest tool there. And when he's not, he's like naked running around with war paint on his face. So whatever, whatever makes him happy. I'm assuming that limits the number of lawyers who actually do that, so you probably could figure out who he is. But for me, that's great. I love that, and it shows he has a life and shows he's not all about work, and he has the balance in him.
Is that one of the reasons why you hired him in the first place?
No, I hired him in the first place, again, because I got introduced to him by someone who recommended him, so it comes down again to personal recommendation, personal relationships.
Do you know if he actually has pictures of him wearing war paint and playing a drum at Burning Man on his site?
He does not on his site, but he does on his Facebook page. I've seen him. I don't ever need to see him again, actually. But you know what? Good for him. He's showing that he has a life, and I think that's awesome.
And you're somebody who doesn't.
I'm going to follow that up with one of my investments. One of the owners of a company that I invested in that's doing very, very well. She returned from Burning Man. She goes, I think I met your lawyer, and I just went, wow, it's just a small world. I just now every time I see either of them, I imagine them dancing naked in drum circles with war paint. So there you go.
And apparently you're not too traumatized from it, so awesome. Therapy. Well, we probably all need it. So, okay. So, and you are somebody who is open about your hobbies. I know, anybody who follows you online knows that you do Ironman, that you're a skydiver. You're the type of person who encourages people to let people in on these sides of their world.
I do. There's a definite, again, you want to show someone that you're a human being, that you're not just a machine. And, but on the flip side, you don't know everything about me. I remember once before I got married, I was having a conversation with I was giving a speech, and someone raised their hand and said, well, it's easy for you because we know everything about you because you post everything in your life online. I said, okay. I said, here's a question for you. Am I gay or straight? And they had no idea. And I said, you don't know because I've never posted anything about that. I've never posted my personal life to that extent. I said, the closest you'll ever get to figuring out is that I went to a George Michael concert once, and even that's ambiguous. So, you know exactly what I want you to know. And that's the key. You can be open without revealing your entire life. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. They think it's all or nothing. It's not.
Right. I think a lot of people think that going online means posting every time you go to the bathroom and taking a picture of every meal you eat. And for you, was it a thoughtful process to break out, this is what goes online, this is what never goes online? Was that a real thought out process, or just happen organically for you?
For me, it's just the intelligence level of, is this gonna bore the crap out of my audience? Is this something that they really need to know about? Or is this something that might benefit them? Again, if it's something that benefits them, everyone wins. If it's something that would bore the hell out of them, I'm just saying it to hear myself post. What's the point? I posted a photo of a cat cartoon on the internet on Facebook today, and it had something like over 700 shares in like an hour and a half. What the hell? What the hell with people and their damn cats? Pretty crazy.
People love their cats and puppies and occasionally cute babies. And
for real.
Yeah, I come from the land of grumpy cats, so I know how that goes.
I understood.
All right. So I know you know some awesome lawyers, but I'm sure you've seen some awful ones. So any other things you want to say about mistakes that you see lawyers making online when it comes to marketing themselves?
Well, there was I don't know the name of the firm now, but there was a firm that did a video about why their firm was a great place to work. And it was only for internal use, but of course it went up on YouTube. And so when it went up on YouTube, what they did, instead of rolling, because it was a really cheesy video, and instead of rolling with it and saying, wow, that's really funny, ha ha ha, yeah, you found this out, they tried to sue YouTube, which never goes over well. So, and not only that, but it kind of defeats the whole purpose of it's a great place to work. It's a great place to work as long as you don't dare cross us. So, it's like, well, that's not okay. So be human beings. Understand you're going to screw up. You don't have to rush and litigate every damn thing. Sometimes it's okay to laugh at yourself.
And I think that runs into the issue that a lot of firms don't know how to not take themselves seriously 24/7, and they expect people to be working 20 hours a day. So I'm not sure how you portray yourself as human in that situation, but maybe that's just a sign that the legal industry needs to shift a little bit with the times.
Very possible.
All right. Now, there are some law firms who outsource their online marketing. What are your feelings about that?
Not a fan of that. I mean, I understand why they do it. They believe, they're better at it. And that's, look, I outsource my accounting because I suck at accounting, right? But marketing and social has to be personalized. It has to be about you. And how can it really be that personal if you're outsourcing it? I'm just not a fan of that. I believe it should all be in-house.
Okay. I agree with you. I at one point thought about outsourcing some of my marketing, and when I talked to people, I didn't like the way the dynamic would work out because I was afraid of losing my voice.
Right, and that doesn't mean don't hire a marketing agency or an advertising agency, but it does mean that when it comes to things that you're posting in the world, you need to be aware of the fact that it is you, and it will always be your face attached to that brand.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to a firm marketing their brand, how do they as individuals portray a united front in terms of the business? Or should they be more focused on being an individual?
They can be an individual. They can be an individual who happens to love where they work. Google has thousands of employees, and almost every employee loves their job there, and they will tell you that immediately. But they also do millions of other things. They ski, they play golf, they take vacations, whatever. You could be an individual and still love where you work and still be proud of what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can showcase both those things.
And so how does that mesh with the, your personal branding with the company's branding message?
Again, the company's branding message is one of professionalism with a hint of being a human being. Your branding message is a human being who is professional. There's no difference between the two. You know, if you're doing it right, it's a perfect mesh.
If you're doing it right, the case to that one. All right. Any other tips that you have about effectively marketing yourself?
Just be real. Just be a real human being and understand that, you know, you're not always going to be perfect. You're going to have bad days. You're going to screw up, and that's okay. It's how you react to that that matters. People don't expect you to be perfect 24/7, but they would like you to be human.
Can you say that again? I don't know if lawyers ever heard permission to not be perfect. Seriously, will you please say that again?
People don't expect you to be perfect 24/7, but they do expect, they'd like you to be human.
So when you screw up, how do you recover from that?
Own it. Hey, you know what? I screwed up, made this mistake. Here's what I did wrong. Here's how I'm going to make sure I don't do it again. Here's what I'm doing to fix it. That's it. There's no better lover than a former hater.
I love you so much for saying that. All right. So we're winding down our interview. Is there anything else that you want our audience to know about your work? This is your time to take away all modesty and just brag about yourself, your work, your books, where you're going, where we can find you. Please.
Well, the new book, Zombie Loyalists, is going to have, it has several things about lawyers in it. It's going to be a really, really great book. It's dropping on January 27th. You can go to the website, Zombie Loyalists, with an S, zombieloyalists.com, and you can pre-order it. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to change the game of how we look at customer service in this country.
You have 2 other books out available for people who want to prime the pump? 3?
Yeah. Can We Do That? All about outrageous PR stunts. That was my first one. And then Customer Service, New Rules for a Social World. And then Nice Companies Finish First, which was my last one. And that was my first bestseller. So I'm hoping this will be my second.
Awesome. And your books are available through your site, through Amazon. Where can we find you?
Anywhere. Amazon.com. My life is at Shankman.com. The business masterminds I'm doing are at shankminds.com. Anywhere you want. I'm around.
All right. You are. It actually is fun to watch you travel because you do that quite a bit. So you have the book tour coming up. You're going to be doing Shank Minds this year. Any place else we should be watching for you?
I'm on TV a lot, on CNN, Al Jazeera, Fox, things like that. Yeah, I'm kind of hard to miss, and not just because I'm fat.
You're not fat. You do Iron Man.
There you go.
All right. And then if people want to keep track of you directly, probably the best way is on Twitter at Peter Shankman?
Yeah, at Peter Shankman, or just email me, peter@shankman.com. I answer all my own email.
Yes, you do, and I love you for it. All right. Peter, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us and enlighten the legal community with how we can be better at what we do. I'm really excited for your book, and just, again, thank you for giving us some of your time.
My pleasure. Good times.